talking to over the course of 2 or 3 years to get her to come to this program, because I felt that what she had to show us and what she had to say was just right down the bowling alley to a strike of what we're trying to portray to you in terms of getting outdoors, appreciating it, finding empowerment, finding beauty, finding peace, finding fulfillment in the outdoors, which is a very important part of this program. And so finally we were able to come up with a deal. Now, I will tell you, normally Kimberly is one of the more elite speakers we've ever had, but she was very gracious. She said, I really like your program. I want to come to your program. Can we trade? And I said, I thought about it for about half a second. Yes. And she's been just having a ball here and getting to know you and getting to know our BOW program. But now it's our turn to get to know her in her professional needs. Kimberly Satchel is from the Traverse City area, and she's the founder and owner of Whisper in the Woods Nature Journal, of which there are copies available over here. Her special price tonight, spring clearance, $3. That's a really good price. This is available both online and in the print form. And it's really what she terms, and I agree, an awe-inspiring journey into the wealth and the beauty of nature. And Kimberly says that she finds her inspiration in nature, and she's actually built her life around bringing that message to people just like you and I. And not only is it through her photography, but her publication, Whisper in the Woods, that we learn about what nature has to offer you, each of you, in your life, as you enjoy her speak and listen and watch her slideshow, which is very inspirational and most of it original photography. So let's welcome Kimberly Satchel.
And I think that she just pretty much said everything I was going to cover. Indeed, Ann and I have been talking for a couple years, as she said, and when she invited me, it was such an honor. I had heard a little bit about this program, but didn't know exactly what it was all about. And I have been having the time of my life. This is a blast. And I'm pretty sure you all are having a good time as well. The best part, though, don't you just feel so relaxed right now? A day out in the woods, spending time out in nature, just kicking back, getting away from it all, and feel all that stress melting away. That's what nature can do. I remember I tried meditation, you know, that yoga stuff where they tell you to sit Indian style and all your thoughts are just you're supposed to journey away and you have no thoughts in your mind whatsoever. And I tried it. Oh, I gotta remember to call that lady about that. I think I left the iron on this morning. And I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. To me, that silence and just sitting wasn't working for me. And I'll take you back a little bit to my story. A few years ago, well, it's been several now, before I started Whisper in the Woods, I was in a not-so-great time in my life. I was 30-ish and still saying, I want to do this when I grow up. Maybe I'll do that when I grow up. And I realized one day that 30 was pretty grown up, and I should be well on my way to knowing what I wanted to do with my life. And I had been invited to speak at the college where I went to school. I have a degree in photography. And I was invited to speak to the graduating class. And the gentleman who introduced me was one of the former instructors. And he introduced me as having, well, a convoluted career path. And as I stood up to speak, I couldn't get past that word, convoluted. It has such a negative connotation, and I thought, my goodness, I have had a convoluted career path. I hadn't really accomplished anything. And I struggled through that presentation to all these students who had such optimism and high hopes for their future. And all I could think about was when I had been there and what had not happened in between. What do you do with that? I heard someone say once to go back to your childhood. And I remember that when I was young, my favorite thing to do was to spend time outdoors. I loved playing in the dirt. I usually had a frog in one pocket and a recipe for lead pie in the other. And that was my form of enjoyment. So I spent more time out in the woods. I'd take walks. I'd run my dogs. I'd go camping if I could. And I found that in nature was a place where I could meditate, if you will. I don't know if I'd use that word. But I was able to find that peace from it. And all these years that have gone by, a few, I think I know why. Because when I'm out there and I'm walking through the woods, every sense is enlightened or alive. I can smell the pine needles as I walk down the path. That fresh scent of spring. You've probably smelled some things up here that stop and go, that smells so good. Even just fresh air, maybe. And all the things to look at, all the different sounds, bird song, wind rippling through the leaves. And even the sense of touch. You know, we can feel wind on our cheek, sun on our backs. And there's something primal that really engages a different part of our brain. And that sixth sense that I think we've long since lost, maybe you describe it one way, maybe I describe it another, but I started to hear a little voice. That's what I call it, a little voice. And it's that little voice saying, "God, you know, things just aren't right. You remember those dreams that you used to have, those things that you wanted to do? What happened?" And at first it was just a whisper for me, but whenever I go out for a walk, I can start to hear it. Maybe you've heard that voice. Maybe it's God for you. Maybe it's your gut. Maybe you haven't quite heard that voice. Maybe you're feeling like you're on top of the world right now. But for me, that's how it started. And I'll take you back a little farther. In my childhood, as I said, I loved nature, so I already had this kind of connection. I had this fascination with fireflies. I loved fireflies. Wanted to know everything about fireflies. Why they lit up, how they lit up, and was it magic? Perhaps. Fireflies. So my mother, being a wonderful parent that she was, she would drag me off to the library and we'd try to find out how fireflies light up. She didn't say it was magic, but she didn't know the answer either. And in retrospect, I'm really glad that she didn't. Because if she would have just given me the answer, I probably would have accepted it and perhaps moved on, perhaps lost my interest. But it was piqued. I had to find out, had to know how fireflies lit up. And that stuck with me all these years. And that was one of those things that kept popping in my mind. How do fireflies light up? So through this process, and I finally arrived at deciding that I really had a love for nature, and that's where I wanted to go with my life. And decided to start Whisper in the Woods, and to publish this quarterly nature journal, which has been an incredible journey, which is a whole other topic of conversation. One of the first articles that I published was about fireflies. How do they light up? I wanted to know. Well, again, my mother, a wonderful parent, never had the answer, but she did do something very special that stuck with me all these years.